Hey everyone, welcome to POPXP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the POPXP channel. Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here, Niall Scala, and we are here for another episode of Popped or Not Reviews. We've got teen sensation Mr. Billy Tucci in the house. Adam Lawson is back joining us, and we have our good pal Mr. Blevins. And we are here to talk our review of the world premiere of WandaVision. Not even like one premiere episode, it was two premiere episodes.
But you kind of needed both. Because I think if you just would have watched the one only, you might have said, what is this experience?
I absolutely agree. I actually even mentioned that earlier. I said you had to have, I would have much rather have had 1 hour-long episode than it broke it down. I feel actually kind of cheated when the series is going to be done. I feel like I should be able to have one more episode because I feel these first two episodes should have been one.
Fair enough. Hopefully they'll do more seasons to come. But I thought, now this. Oh, I know you're gonna ask. You're gonna ask us about our thoughts. I don't want to jump ahead. Apologize.
I mean, Billy, first take, man.
What?
Well, your first take, man. What were your thoughts?
First take? We're not summing this up in a word or anything, right? It's just a first take. What do I think?
Yeah, like what do you think?
I think that we needed 3 episodes, to be honest with you. And there's a part of me that I wasn't given enough information. It's almost like, why are we reviewing this?
Oh, interesting thought.
I'm just saying
we're gonna actually bring that around because you know what? I too had that thought. But let's but there's nothing. Let's go around real quick. What was the first thing that popped in your head while watching WandaVision? What were you, Adam?
Yeah, so the first thing I thought was when it first started out, I kept waiting for them to pull back the curtain. That was my number one feeling. It's like, oh, this is a kitchen. It's cute and it's in black and white and it's square. Like they shot it at 1.33 and the whole thing, right? I'm like, oh, this is so great. It's got this vibe about it. And then I'm like, oh, then at some point the camera pulls behind the curtain and now we're in color and, oh, there's a problem and the world is ending, superhero stuff. And so my kept feeling was, I was like, when does this gag end? Was my number one feeling for the first episode. I was like, it's not going to end. It just keeps going. That was my number one feeling.
Blevins.
I feel the same way. Like I was waiting for it to happen, and like looking at it, I feel that obviously they're in an upward momentum for the show. So maybe this whole first season, the whole series of show is just leading up to this amazing, crazy crescendo that's going to blow open the gate for Phase 4 for Marvel.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that because I was wondering the same thing because what came to me as I'm watching this, the first thing that really popped in my head was Nick at Night, right? I mean, they got it right. The first episode is basically, just like the Dick Van Dyke Show. And then the second episode, we jump a decade. Now we're in, Bewitched. I mean, it was incredible. We've got that classic animated intro of Bewitched, which then, we see that take 2 that they did here with the intro of the second episode. And to play off of what Blevins was saying, it's almost like, is this the catalyst? Like, are we watching like a launch, right? We're sending the astronauts in space, but you got to watch it, right? You're going to watch the guy, they're taxiing here, they're doing this. Are we in that taxi moment with this series?
Right. Because, did you get that feeling? Remember when they were doing the talent show? Mm-hmm. And the talent show just, and I would say every scene in the series, at least in the first 2 episodes, plays out incredibly long. The talent show, they go through multiple talents. And here's the thing. Let's just preface this with Paul Bettany is awesome.
Yeah.
And he's freaking amazing. So let's not be confused about that. Elizabeth Olsen is beautiful and lovely and talented too. I mean, the cast these are legit. These are legit. Make mistakes. The way it's shot, like the whole thing. I mean, that's not hats off to these guys. They made bold choices and these are the best talent you could hope for. But the scene plays out every piece of the scene, all 4 or 5 tricks that they do, and then in the episode before, when the boss comes over for dinner, right, and the scene just keeps playing out, and you're waiting for this moment, like in Tarantino's *Inglourious Basterds*, that long scene about the milk, and then like boom, it like the floor drops out from underneath you, so you just got this. Oh, the floor is going to drop, right? These scenes are going way too long. And then the floor just keeps not dropping. They keep running that pace. And so it makes you just like, what is this? What is this show? Because it's so, the tone of it is, like you're saying, it's just like the Dick Van Dyke Show in its flavor and tone. So it doesn't match where you last saw Vision and Wanda, right? It doesn't match those. And also too, you don't understand why they're inside of this TV show, right? Because at the end of episode 1, you see this moment where it's in color, right? And like we're pulling back over the shoulder of the TV producer, and it's in color, right? Mm-hmm. And so, so you don't know why they're in the TV show, and they're trying to fit in and conform, but you don't understand the risks or concerns about not conforming, right? Like if they don't conform, does Hydra get them? You get a glimpse of it there in episode 2 with the radio moment, and then obviously the guy with the bees at the end coming out of the street. Mm-hmm. But then you get these really odd moments where she's pregnant, like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Instantly, and you're not certain why. And then like you have this kind of whimsical thing where Vision like eats a piece of gum and then like is drunk. Which is funny, and Paul Bettany is great, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that's the guy who like kind of went like got in a fist fight with Thanos, and like the gum takes him out.
Yeah.
It's like so what is like it? So it feels like it's an act, right? Because there's that moment at the end of episode 2 when they see the guy coming out, and Paul Bettany shifts from ha 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 Dick Van Dyke to, he gets a little bit serious. Remember that moment?
Yeah.
And so you start to think, and I see what you're saying, Billy. It's like you needed that episode 3 because it's like, then it now starts to turn into like we know what the threat is. Because I mean, how many TV shows do you watch where you've watched 2 episodes and you don't know what the problem is?
You don't.
Like it's just these fun. They're funny, well done, well.
It's
acted.
entertaining. It is entertaining,
Yeah.
and I think they captured that Dick Van Dyke style, late 50s sitcom, early 60s sitcoms very well. I mean, even down to the neighbor Agnes. I mean, it's the stereotypical.
Catherine Hahn was also incredible in this.
On point. I mean, it's so good. I mean, and I have to bring this up because this actually caught my eye. There's 7 minutes of credits for a half-hour show.
That's exactly right. The credits just keep on going. Like when the show ended, and I looked at my time on the remote control, I'm like, "There's 7 minutes." I thought, there's going to be an Easter egg. So I'm watching the whole credits. Just, there's going to be a mystery, and then there's a mystery. So you're like, what is this credits thing, right? It's that whole long sequence, and it's like in beautiful color and the animation with the rose. And you're like, wait a minute, guys, this is, and then it doesn't seem to lead somewhere. Now, here's the thing. What I think is they made bold choices with this. And like as a creator, I'm like, hats off, guys. Like you made a bold choice with this show. And you were bold because you didn't give us these things right away. And hopefully your audience gives you enough time to get to episode 3, right? Like that hopefully, because really you I still have yet to accomplish what a pilot normally does, which is what's the hook, right? Like, they're hiding out in this 1950s town or inside of this TV show or whatever to get away from something, right? Because you get this presence that they're trying to conform, right? He's like working at the job, but he's not sure what it does. And Elizabeth Olsen is trying to make sure that they fit in. And then the one scene with the one where she cuts the hand, that she's like, I'm on to you. But I can't place my finger. What are you thinking? Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is like so Wanda's trying to work on having them fit in, not to stand out. Yet then you have Vision more concerned with, well, why are we doing this? What are we here? Why do we do this?
Yeah.
Like he's very interested in the mechanics of everything. Because like even when he's at his job, he's like, all right, I understand, but why are we doing this? Like something's still not fitting with him. Like I'm doing something here, but why am I here? where she's
Right.
like, I need to make us fit in. So it's almost like in the real world now, is she, encased in a protection of energy? Are they both in there? Is she trying to protect them? Where are we in the MCU right now?
I know, because you're in the 1950s, but when that shot at the end of episode 1, and as it pulls out of the screen, and there see the hand of the supposed TV producer, you're like,
are they locked in Hydra right now, trying to crack into her energy field or something? Like, that's all I'm picturing is her like in an energy, and they're trying to break in, and it's like, Wanda, where are you? Who's doing it? Or is it reversed? Is she at S.H.I.E.L.D.? Did something happen? Blevins brought up a great point. We were talking earlier, in episode 2, when the beekeeper comes out of the sewer as a sword.
Which is odd that bees are in the sewer. Such an unusual choice, right?
But before that, though, they showed the sword in the first episode as well. So
I missed that.
Yeah, where was the sword?
It's a huge payoff. It's a huge payoff to if you've read the comics. Like, there's a comic book series called WandaVision that is kind of based on this story. And then also later on, after you bypass the House of M, you have the Agents of S.W.O.R.D., which, if you have the shield, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you have to have the Agents of S.W.O.R.D. And the Agents of S.W.O.R.D. protect against, extraterrestrial invaders, kind of like what happened with Thanos when Thanos came in. So it's like the sword is, again, I know that this.
So maybe the beekeeper you're saying is an agent of S.W.O.R.D.
Oh, 100% he is.
That's right. That's what it felt like, right? With the symbol in the back and the whole thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
so
the sword was on the. It was on. I think it was also in the commercial, the first toaster commercial that went on a little too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Popped up. And then, of course, like the whole deal with Baron Strucker and the watch.
Loved that.
Back to he was the guy that held Quicksilver, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, or Wanda held them during Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like the Strucker, because you have the Strucker watch, and then obviously you have the Stark toaster, right? Which I liked, because I can tell you, I see what you're saying, and the symbol on the back of the beekeeper.
Yep.
He's either clearly an agent of S.W.O.R.D. or he's he's somebody working undercover for them or something. But what it made me think about too when he crawled up out of the street was, are they in a Truman Show experience, right? Where they have like, this is how S.W.O.R.D. or Thanos or some force, Ultron, whoever it is, has trapped them in this alternate universe where they're stuck in this time, and that's how they've neutralized them, if they will. But the thing about it is too that's interesting about it is that these are really, Agent of S.W.O.R.D., which Niall is not an Agent of S.W.O.R.D. fan or know about them, right? So that's a low payoff for anybody outside of that. And to think about that, to end your episode 2 with a payoff that's only identifiable for the 75,000 people or 100,000 people who read that, millions are going to watch it, seems really, really like a pretty deep cut. Don't you think?
Yeah.
No. So I think this series is coming out at the time that it's supposed to come out. And I hate to throw the whole we had COVID thing happening, but I'm pretty sure that there was other things that were supposed to happen, other Marvel movies that were supposed to come out, including Black Widow.
Prior
to this, which I'm pretty sure would tie into this. And
good point.
And there's other shows that would have built into this whole, phase 4, time frame that got thrown off track. Like the movies are off track, but they were able to keep the TV shows on track. You know? So I think maybe this, kind of no pun intended, but I think it's shifted out of the reality of what the actual timeline is supposed to be.
Right. And what's interesting about this show is, from a production standpoint, it's incredibly inexpensive to produce in comparison. It's mostly literally like a play. It's the 2 actors doing scenes on an obvious set with a laugh track, right? And it's really Elizabeth and Paul doing all the real work. And I think from as a creative standpoint, I want to take this ride, right? Because it's like there's enough of these little Easter eggs hidden in there with Strucker and Stark things caught me, and I knew the symbol on the back of the beekeeper. I didn't catch it in episode 1, but it's interesting enough that this could kind of become anything, right? It's so I appreciate that really bold choice. And then there's half of me that's like, yeah, he needed just a little bit more sense of conflict and why, to like when it's stacking up versus the 10 other TV shows I have to watch,
Right. And I'm curious why they're kind of jumping, because even if you look at some of the previews, I mean, in the first episode, like I said, it's almost like we're in the 1950s, and then it looks like we're heading into the 60s in the second episode, and I think the third episode is going to look more like the 70s. I wonder why they're going through these decades of time, mirroring certain sitcoms. It's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, I really think so. And an interesting note about Black Widow, I just have to throw this comment in, is, am I the only one that's confused? Why on earth you do a spin-off movie for a character that's died in the main story already? Because then you have a movie that it doesn't even matter.
Like a standalone, really.
It's a movie that has literally, it doesn't matter. She's already dead. So this movie leads into nothing.
Well,
and its plot line is, we're going to get the people who did this to us and make sure no one else gets to become an ultra high-powered super assassin.
Yeah,
and the villain has a shield because Captain America was shooting another movie at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you make that after she died? It's like, now we're done with her. Why would you do that?
Well, we're not actually done with her. I'm pretty sure that with the whole multiverse breakdown, which is what Phase 4 is, mutants and multiverse, obviously she's going to come back in some form or fashion. I really believe she's coming back.
Sure. I mean, and maybe she comes back. It just seems like a little late.
It's just weird. It's strange in the progression. Like, how does this? Yeah. It doesn't fall in right. And I think that was actually addressed. I think if you look that up, you might find where they did address, because people said, why do we have a Black Widow movie coming out and she's now deceased in the timeline that we have already? And it was like, they're basically just like, no, we're still going through with it. It's a separate story away from that. It's supposed to be like it's a part of it, but it's not. I think it's its own standalone.
Well, I also thought that it was supposed to introduce White Widow, who we already met, in Spider-Man Far From Home.
Right.
So, like it's supposed to introduce her character, because she plays a big part also in, Agents of S.W.O.R.D.,
Yeah. But we'll see how it does. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, same as Teyonah Parris being in WandaVision. Like, I don't understand. Teyonah Parris is, Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I have no idea why she's in. Why is she in WandaVision? Like, I don't remember.
Well, maybe that's how this plays out. Is you're going to start seeing some characters in here, and you're kind of like, well, why are they in here? Well, maybe there's deeper meaning that's going to be played out down the road when we're back into the real world and out of this. What I'm assuming is almost like a safe haven or some form of protection place.
It's either a protection place or they've been trapped, right?
Yeah.
Don't you feel that?
Yeah.
And I mean, here's my question though, too. I know you mentioned wanting to see episode 3. If you aren't going to come in and do a review on this with your friends, would you wait around for episode 3, or would you maybe get to that later?
I would have to say, after watching episode 1 and 2, I am very much going to watch episode 3 because I need to know what's going on.
Because you're hoping something happens.
I'm hoping something happens that now fully
happen.
Yeah, I need to get fully invested now. So I'm going to keep. I'm going to keep buying my scratch tickets right now in hopes for a win. And, I need to see what's going on. So I am right now invested because the way this has played out, like the first one was like, that's fun. That's great. Okay. All right, let's jump into episode 2. Okay. I know why we had an episode 2 here, because now you're kind of making things a little more interesting for me. I need episode 3 because I'm hoping this is going to give me a little more to keep me vested in moving through. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of get a little annoyed, I think.
Well, now that said, Niall, knowing that we're comic book fans, those who haven't read House of M, who haven't read WandaVision, what do you think the ordinary audience, these people that only know Marvel characters from, say, the films, and they're watching this. What do you think?
They're going to be confused.
What do you think are they engaged enough to want to follow up with this? I mean, they're cute. Like I said, Paul, the cast is fantastic, I think.
Yeah, they're so good, right?
The acting's great, too. It's fun. But what's there? Again, you know, there's no there, it seems. And we're all hoping, and maybe so, you know, I mean, there's a lot of smart people, hopefully attached to the 7 minutes of credits, there's some smart people in there. You know,
I know. That credits is insane.
It's a hell of a production, man.
It's no Mandalorian. Like Niall says that he's invested. Like I'm invested, kind of like I'm invested as the big blind at a poker table. You know, I'm in no matter what. So like that's the extent of my investment. But again, they had to do both episodes because I don't think the first episode was strong enough to make you want to come back a week later to see.
No, you wouldn't have. I would have. If that would have been episode 1, and you're just been like, that was cool. Love the cast. I'll get to that. It would just kind of fall too far in your list. Like I think that's the competition now with TV shows. It's like, am I going to watch this, or am I going to watch the show I'm loving right now? Is Alice in Borderland on Netflix?
Yeah.
I freaking love that. And it's like, that's your problem. Is it's not the. Even like if you just watch episode 1, it's like, oh, it's cool. I'm more interested in other things.
Well,
exactly, right? Because Cobra Kai is awesome, right? So you're just gonna. That's what I mean. So that's one thing I think that's tough right now is that like you make a show, and it's not even that your show is bad. It's just that the competition is so mean that you're like, I'll just go someplace else.
Well, you know, opinions are relative, and let me ask you this: like you're saying, hey, you know, the first episode. Like it was cool, but from your standpoint, is it cool just because you're a director, or was the actual substance, you know, the substance of the episode worth you watching it, or was it just like, oh, that's cool from a director standpoint, not from a character development standing of the episode? Which, you know, is it cool because of it was a good episode, or is it cool from a director standpoint?
I mean, I guess I would say it was a cool episode because they made such a bold choice and they held on to it for so long, and that's fun. And I think as an audience member, you like to be thrown things you haven't been thrown before, or they're unsuspecting, right? And so I think that was a choice. Do I think narratively, from the purpose of a pilot episode, which is to hook the audience and let them know the stakes, it was an utter fail in that regard, because you don't know the stakes. Currently, at the end of episode 1, the stakes are the boss is disappointed with him. That's a pretty low stakes. That's a pretty low stakes TV show, if people find out. It's just there's such low stakes, and so you aren't hooked. I mean, if there wasn't Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen in it, right? Yeah. And this massive legacy of Marvel, you would just be like, click. You wouldn't actually be waiting for more. You would just go,
I liked
back to Cobra Kai.
I liked Elizabeth Olsen, but I definitely will say that Paul Bettany stole every scene that he was in.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not on the same level, you know. They're not on the same level, but you know, like I was saying about the whole Mandalorian, like when I watched The Mandalorian after 35 minutes, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait till the next episode. Like, you know, and I'm counting down the 6 days until the next episode. You know,
right.
After watching, you know, an hour and 15 minutes of WandaVision.
Well, cut the credits out. So you're down to
about an hour.
Yeah.
48 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, man, like, I mean, I'm gonna watch it, obviously, but I mean, it's not something like it hasn't grabbed me yet. And again, that's what I'm thinking. It's like this slow burn. It's got this.
We're taxing, man. I'm telling you, we're just
to use a RPG term. It has a slow power creep right now.
Yeah.
So power creeping up. And I think it's going to end up getting us.
Well, I think something big. I think something big has to happen in episode 3. It has to.
Yeah. You're right, Billy. Because if it doesn't,
because again, like you just said, Adam, and if it wasn't the MCU universe, the 60, 70-year-old universe or whatever it is now. Yeah, 70-year-old universe, right? 60 years old. That we have so much invested in, and so many people that want to watch this are doing it. Who'd care?
You checked out, yeah.
You totally, absolutely. But there's a lot of the things are there. I mean, the woman, her rival, the woman from Buffy the Vampire Slayer plays the blonde.
Yeah, Emma Caulfield from Buffy.
Yeah, I love that.
But at first, to her, she's this bitchy bitch, and then she's like, "I know who you are." The radio starts playing, and she looks at her, and she's like, "I'm not here to hurt anyone." So she knows something, because then it clicks, and she's like, "Well, you know what a housewife does."
Well, it's like all of a sudden it's like snapped, and it's like this conversation never happened. You know how a housewife gets a lot of
Yeah, so the woman from Captain Marvel. I think that they're hopefully, again, I'm hoping that they play a much bigger role, and they are all trapped. Either it's the WandaVision thing, House of M.
Well, I saw Randall Park in the at the talent show in the seats, and I was like, why did they not acknowledge Randall Park was in the seats? I was pretty excited about it. So, being a fanboy, I went and looked to see, who he was playing. And, it tells, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a really big character. And I'm super excited to see what he's going to bring to the table, because I love Randall.
You should spoil it. This is a review show.
Yeah,
you should spoil it.
Well, yeah, he's playing Jimmy Woo. Jimmy Woo. Like, yes, we're gonna get Jimmy Woo up in this. Like, it's pretty. It's pretty.
See, awesome. That's what I mean. See that these are some amazing Easter eggs. The watch, this bit with Randall Park in the scene. Like, they've really peppered this. They've built this truly like deep cuts, right, for the fanboys and fangirls. To really like dig in. The Agent of S.W.O.R.D., all this stuff. Like, they went hard on it being us. People sitting around like us going, what the hell happened in that show? We got it. What's the deeper meaning behind it? But if I were to compare this, for example, my favorite superhero TV show that's come in the last, several years, it was The Boys.
Oh, yeah.
On Amazon. Yeah. And I loved everything about it because it was so unsuspecting. Obviously, Garth Ennis is a legend. Let's not be confused, right? Who's done so much in comics. And the show just took you places you just were not going to expect. And in that first episode, you know what I mean? In the first minute when the girlfriend gets blown through and he's holding her hands, it's like it had you so hooked and so drawn in. And and you were brought into this world, with an equally as talented cast, right? Equally as talented, different style, but equally as talented cast. And you were sucked into something. You're like, oh my gosh, this has no limits. Click. You're just like binge. And I think for myself, I kind of long for that feeling in a TV show now. And that it takes you that hard, that it just grabs you by the throat and says, we're going. So I think, if I were, a true fan, I'm not thinking as a creative, just like as, hi, I'm just a dude who showed up. I think I needed that moment in episode 1. Like, they open the closet and it's full of dead bodies. Shuts the closet and it's like, okay, like we needed, at least for me, a reveal at a higher volume level in episode 1.
Yeah.
From because once again, person off the street. What's that?
Even in episode 2, we needed a bigger reveal than a beekeeper. I will tell you, I was kind of excited when I saw the red helicopter. I was like, oh, like this is, then they hit it again with the whole, blood from where Emma Caulfield, where Dottie squeezed the glass and cut her hand. And I think maybe red might be significant in some way. Like, because, Wanda is, the power of the reality gem is red, and that's kind of like, her reality.
Vision's power. Red. She's a red witch, Scarlet Witch, all that stuff. Yeah.
So I'm like,
remember when she found the helicopter, she looked up into the bedroom of the house. I mean, they clear as day showed her the shot of her taking it and then looking
what's the noise?
Up to the bedroom. They focused on the upstairs room in the house.
Well, that's
I think she was looking at the tree, though, right? Where they thought the tree was making the noise on the house. So she's looking down like, well, what's this red color helicopter in my black and white world? And she looks back up at the room and the tree. That's how I took it. Because this whole
right was the tree, because it was the tree that was hitting the window, you remember?
Yeah,
like
but
in the episode.
trying to break in.
Okay, I apologize.
The tree limb was nowhere near the window though when she looked up.
Yeah, that's what I didn't notice the tree near the window at all.
I think that was the thing. It was like, wait, the tree limb's actually not near the window. Because the kind of what I'm taking on the whole, because it's almost like when you hear it's like boom, 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 like something is banging in.
Yeah,
something is trying to break through.
Yeah,
it's the Hulk.
Yeah.
It's the Hulk. Yeah, it's Amadeus.
Oh, come on, bro. We know the Hulk would smash through that.
Hey, girl.
He's making his
of
way.
course he would.
Come on.
So, but I think, though I will admit about, from a casting and design standpoint, they really picked such perfect performers, right, in every little role, right? Like you think about like Herman, just the guy like who gave him the gum, and then he was there at the talent show, just like each person had such nuance to them as a performer. And because this is, once again, it's not the boys, it's not in your face, but there's a lot of nuance to every piece of that show. And I think that's a check in the box of something good. And that's worth waiting for episode 3.
Yeah, I agree.
So would you say the premiere popped or not?
Ooh.
The premiere.
I think it's still
the premiere. We're not talking the series, just the premiere. Did it pop or not?
And that's episodes 1 and 2 combined. Right?
Yeah, we had
2 combined. 1 and 2 combined.
I would say that it popped, but not a full bag of popcorn. Like a handful of popcorn popped.
half in the bag.
Yeah, it's you remember when you used to do the microwave popcorn and you'd open the bag and you'd be like, ah, crap, only about half of it popped, and then you got the kernels at the bottom.
Yeah. That is excellent. Outstanding.
Yeah. I think that's what that is. So you still got a handful or 2 out of it. You know what I mean? Yep. You aren't so mad at Orville and Redenbacher, but you didn't get that full juicy bag.
The microwave.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm not doing the microwave ever again. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
So it's a half bag right now.
It's a half bag of pop.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, guys, I appreciate you getting together and doing this kind of, I'd almost say, we say review, but it's kind of more like our first thoughts with the premiere and everything of the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. And I'm looking forward. I'm like I said, I'm invested because now I need something to happen.
Niall, if you could sum this up in one word, if you have one word that shoots to your one word to this, one word that stands out, and did it pop or not for you? And same with you, Dr. Blevins.
It popped for me.
It did. Give us a word. Give us a word. Give us one word.
Popped.
Excellent. All right. Dr. Blevins?
It did not pop for me.
Did not. It was a not.
I'm definitely at not popped. But also, I think it's kind of unfair to judge it based on the information they gave.
Then does that make a successful pilot?
But the thing about it is, remember, they have all the information, so they can choose how much they give. You know what I mean? They didn't.
I think
COVID didn't stop them after shooting 2 episodes. They got the whole thing shot, so they could have dropped 3.
Yeah, I think they should have. I think they should have dropped the whole series. I mean, it's not Mandalorian. It's not every week. You're going to have another. It's not that big of a show. And this tells, again, this is only my first look at it, and I'm saying that I don't feel that series was good enough. Who knows? Like after the next review, after a couple more episodes get underneath the belt, it might be like, oh my God, they were brilliant to break it down, how they broke it down. But as of right now, I'm saying popped, and I'm going to just say my one word is unfulfilled.
Oh, yeah, excellent.
Well, if I may, I think I'm going to say again. I agree with you, Dr. Blevins. It's not like Downton Abbey. It's not like The Boys. It's not like The Mandalorian. Like you can't wait for next episode.
Right.
Yes, we can, and I agree, Brian. It should have all dropped together, but I'm going to give it a pop, And if I could say one word, and the reason why, I'm going to say fishnets, because I think seeing Wanda in them fishnets is what made it pop for me.
Oh,
She is not hard to look at, Elizabeth Olsen.
Not at
She's
all.
lovely.
Easy on the
She's
eye.
lovely.
she's my
Well, I
favorite.
find it interesting. I'm gonna say pop because it did capture that fun. No one's doing Dick Van Dyke, no one's doing it right now. So I really
That's what I'm saying.
enjoyed it. It wasn't bad. Yeah. I'll tune in again. It's not like, oh my God, WandaVision's coming on next Friday night. I got to stay in. But
I'm there. Though. I'm there.
I got to tell you though, if they did run the whole, if they ran 8 episodes, I'm sure I would have watched them all. If I had time, at least 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, I would have binged all of them. I mean, I was up at 3:00. I wanted to make sure I watched 2 episodes, and after it was done, I was kind of scratching my head. I put a little blurb about it on my Facebook, and I was like, hey, look, this definitely should have been more, but I'm gonna, I'll sleep on it. And then I got up, I watched both of them again, which is why I was able to catch the second set of items that were happening. And again, like even after watching giving it a second run through, I mean, it definitely was very lull in places for sure. Things went on way too long, especially for it to be a 34-minute episode with 7 minutes of trailers. Like, I don't know why they stretched it out like that with nuances that didn't matter, and again, I'm hoping that I get to change my mind because I really want this to be good. But as of right now, I mean, I'm going to watch it because I have to, but it's not something that I'm counting the minutes down like I was.
Right. So we got 2 pops, a not popped, that bag of popcorn after 3 minutes, nothing came out of it, and then a half popped. So is that's 2.5 pops.
So we will have
pops. Niall, how do we do that?
2.5 pops.
2.5
is what we got. There's a 4-star, or there's 4 pops. This is 2.5 pops. Got it.
There you go. So you guys will definitely have to tune in because we are going to have to watch episode 3. And
we got to revisit this.
We've got to revisit this next week at some point after they premiere episode 3.
And I want to say I'm open to changing my mind. Absolutely. I'm hoping that I am just wrong. And I think, like I said, this is that rocket ship building up to this. Again, it's kind of like when you have something so so quiet and mousy that all of a sudden, boom, like in your face, like it explodes. I'm hoping that's what this is. I'm hoping it's a slow burn to a big explosion.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in for Popped or Not reviews. The brain of the mainframe, Niles Scala. Thanks again, Mr. Teen Sensation, Billy Tucci, Mr. Blevins, and Mr. Adam Lawson. Everyone, have yourselves a great night. Catch us in for the next review.
See you on the Pop Review.
See ya.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on POPXP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the POPXP and over on Instagram at the POPXP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.